Hey YouTube, Gamer Hushu here, back for another video. So just yesterday afternoon, I finally finished Persona 5. It's taken me a really long time. I clocked in at about 97 hours when I, finally finished the credits in the last cutscene. And just wow, it's good, obviously. I mean, everyone I've ever really talked to says it's good and has really liked it. I mean, people have their preferences between 3, 4, and 5. I definitely think 5 is the best structured. It works a lot better than in a lot of ways that I felt 3 or 4 were lacking sometimes. And just kind of, I don't even really know what to call it, just all around a really good story, and it was one of the few JRPG games that actually kept up with its characters the entire time. In Persona 4, I felt like certain of the characters, like Chie and Kanji, kind of got shoved to the back a lot in terms of the story, because it very quickly it becomes a group arc thing, and so the individuals are often kind of ignored in favor of having, big group unity stuff. But 5, I felt like every single character had their moment in the ending. Each character really mattered in the end, at least to me. I mean, my least favorite party member is always going to be Yusuke, just because he's such a weirdo, as Futaba and Morgana say over and over. He's just weird. He's a little different, but that's okay. I mean, there's so much stuff I can talk about, I don't even know where to start. I guess, obviously, spoilers starting off a little bit here. I plan on writing up, like, an actual review and such, but I just wanted to talk about certain bits for a minute. Where do we go? How do I even talk about this? The two, I mean, the story follows a very similar trend to 3 and 4, where getting towards the end, there's a pretty decent sized twist, and it turns out there's a divine deity instead of the human story you thought you were tracing. But so just kind of looking here and there in the Persona fandom, the one thing that this may very quickly devolve into a weird rant, but the thing that's bugged me is that people like Akechi, Goro Akechi, in Persona 5. Now, if you're not familiar, or if you just kind of don't remember that much, Goro Akechi is essentially an XP, like a direct port over of Light Yagami from Death Note, where he looks so much similar. They're both really good detectives, sort of. Akechi's a crappy detective, actually, but that's beside the point. I hate that guy. And he's a pretty well written and developed villain. I mean, he's nothing amazing to write home about. But what is his deal? They do a lot to try throughout the game to make you like him. But if you're actually paying attention, the guy's a piece of trash. I kind of hate him. But everyone else seems to love him. And that just sucks. Because essentially every problem you've had up to a certain point in the game has all been his fault directly. It just turns into this whole thing where he, like, I got to a point, I straight up hated him, and after a certain set of cutscenes, I guess I put up a spoiler tag, after the whole thing with his full-on betrayal, and he shoots your character in the head, well, your character, I straight up said to myself, the next time we encounter him, I will kill him. And that was... Sorry, I'm sitting in a parking lot and that's weirding me out. I was just like, I will kill this guy. I hate him so much. And it finally came, and I got to tear him apart. And it was so great in Shido's palace. I just got to rip him one. But then they do this whole feign, oh, I was just doing it to blah, blah, blah. This whole fake out thing. Sorry, I'm kind of sweaty today. I just end up sitting there like, why? Like, he sacrifices himself so that your party can make it through. In a way, he really didn't need to sacrifice himself. He was just being stupid and going off and dying because he didn't care anymore. And he's suicidal. I don't know. The point being, I really never liked him that much as a character to begin with, because, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's the same to me as I haven't played Persona 4 Golden, but the Akechi social link, the fact that even exists, is as weird to me as the Adachi social link that apparently exists in Persona 4 Golden. Why does that exist? You're creating a social link with essentially the big bad. What is the deal there? And it's not even like they're the death or the devil arcana or something. They just suck. What is Akechi? He's like justice or whatever? I don't know. But the point being, what the heck? And then Shido and Akechi are like the big bad duo of the entire game. And like the second you finish Shido and, you know, exit his palace, he doesn't matter anymore. Like all the palace rulers that you've defeated show up almost just like lip service to the rest of the game, so that you can actually have the finale. Which is fine to me that Persona 4 did it less smoothly, where like you wouldn't even freaking know that Izanami even existed if you hadn't heard about him. It's like the true ending of the game is literally if you go and bug the true ending of Persona 4 is you go bug this dude repeatedly until he's like, yes, I am the trickster god. I will kill you now. And then you fight it. You do his dungeon, you fight him. It's just so weird to me. So there's that. I really like how it ended, because I don't know. It's kind of interesting because having watched the ending and heard more and more about the development of Persona 5, I'd almost be interested in Persona 5 getting a direct sequel, and they just make the original Persona 5 idea that they had, because they originally started it with the entire game being a road trip thing, like you're traveling around the world solving problems and doing dungeons. And the end of 5, they start a road trip, which is hilarious. It's also just hilarious that they get a bus, an actual bus that looks almost exactly like Mona. Morgana, Mona. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff I love. I mean, the whole theme of red and black is kind of the colors, where yellow was 4 and blue was 3. 5 is red and black, which really fits because it's a lot darker of a game than either 3 or 4. 3 got pretty dark, but it wasn't quite as crazy as 5 gets. I mean, in 5, the Velvet Room literally has guillotines and a gallows, and that's how you fuse personas, is you like dual guillotine them so they both die and fuse together as one death, one spirit of death. And the gallows, you hang a persona to give its power to another one. So it's just weird and crazy, and they just make it so much more brutal, which of course comes around with, you know, the ending of who Igor actually is, which I just have to mention in passing. They did such a good job with the fake out Igor, because they gave him an entirely different voice, and I was like, that's weird. Why'd they do that? Just to make him scarier? Less creepy and more straight up scary and intimidating? And then you find out why. And I mean, everything. I'm kind of sad we didn't get to see more of Lavenza. I feel like it would have been really interesting if they'd structured the story a little bit differently. Obviously not making it any longer, because it's already, 97 hours for me. But if they'd structured it to have that Igor twist at the 2/3, like that 2/3 mark, or like essentially the mark like where they do in Persona 3, where the twist is with, you defeated the 12th one and it's October, or what, I forget, was it September or October? And so then you progress from there and the story's taking a turn for a significant portion of its length. Whereas in 5, of course, the turn is after you've essentially, I mean, the turn takes course over the final dungeon. Because I don't really think of the path up to the Holy Grail the second time where you're on like the suspended bone pathways. That's not a dungeon. There's literally like 3 rooms and a couple mini bosses. That area is like, there's a similar section in 3 where you go up like two floors, fight a mini boss, 2 floors of Tartarus, fight a mini boss, and then you're the main boss. I feel like that's what that was structured after. Which, I love the fusion of Mementos as like it's very much a Tartarus type of thing. So they could structure it, have these really cool, detailed palaces. But then there's also Mementos, where you can just go anytime and drive and run things over in your cat bus. That's still the greatest joke. The cat bus joke. I had to end this pretty quick here. It's just so funny to me. Cat bus! And then Morgana uses it as like a special attack after that, when you like are high enough to get his little critical side attack thing. He just turns into the bus and runs over all the spirit, all the shadow personas you're fighting. I keep bringing up stuff. I love that all the enemies in the game are actual personas. So they've like made detailed 3D models of every persona they've done and used, and decided to make them the enemies. So they didn't have to structure two separate things. You're just straight up fighting somebody else's persona, which is really cool. Because then, I mean, that led me to kind of a gotta catch 'em all thing. Because when you recruit a persona, I found out that's what the original Shin Megami Tensei series is like. Is you like recruit the demons to fight with you or whatever. But when you recruit one in Persona 5, you learn their full chart of weaknesses. So then you're running through the game and you're like, oh, I fought a Titania before. Tap L, you got the full set. Because you've made that effort to get them in your compendium. So it feels like the compendium actually matters, because it's not only your personas, but it's all the enemies as well. So like I defeated one of the mini bosses right there in the last area. I went back and was like, fused a thing. I was like, hey, sweet, I have the mini boss as a persona now. I got Gabriel. Which that's something else I really like, and I want to go back to the compendium and to read through it, because they wrote like a small paragraph about every single persona. And like, this persona is the Incubus. This is where it comes from. And just like briefly what the legend is. Like, oh, this is Gabriel, one of the archangels in the Christian Bible. And on and on and on. And it's so fun. Because then I need to go look up, oh, what is he called? The toilet dude. There's a persona that's just a demon literally sitting on a toilet. It's great. It starts with a B. It's not Baphomet, that's the goat fire dude. Demon. I think it's Balphegor. Balphegor. He's literally just like this grizzly devil sitting on the toilet. That's so dumb. Anyway, that's gonna need to be it. This is already almost 18 minutes. But I want to write up some more of my thoughts. I'll probably just make a second video with more stuff, because it's such a good game, and I'm like, what am I gonna play now? Because since August, I think I started in August, I played 3, then 4, then 5. So I've been in the Persona gear for 9 months. Jeez, it's a long time. I think 8 months. 8 months. Anyway, that's it for right now. Gamer Whoshoe out.